So here we are, number 4.
Number 4.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about community and associations. Now I really want to dive into community and loyalty. You know, we have this idea of, please, I want to come to your event that I understand is a mass gathering, but please personalize my experience. So let's start with that, because I think that's it's the nirvana of marketing, isn't it? So when we come into events and hospitality experiences, so what are you learning about that?
Well, what's interesting is there's a few different dimensions around this that we need to think about. When somebody says they want something personalized, we can't just answer that question in the same way. Obviously, people mean make it the way I would like it to be, but what they're saying is please meet my values. Please help me with what I think is important. So a personalized experience for you might be about seeing your name on stationery in a hotel room, for example, and saying, wow, somebody's actually knows that I'm coming and they took the trouble to put my name on the stationery in this.
I love that, by the way.
I do love that too. It makes me feel special. The Fairmont was really good.
On the shampoo bottles, yes.
Right? It's Mr. Allison on the shampoo bottles.
Yes.
It's such a wonderful.
They're still in my shower.
Not allowed to touch those ones. But for someone else, that may not be what personalization means. What personalization means to someone else might be understand what my food preferences are and have that taken care of. Or everybody's version of what it means to be personalized is going to be based on what they care about most. So we have to take that into consideration. There isn't a blanket answer. Much as we love what Fairmont did with those shampoo bottles, that's a personalization experience that's only going to be meaningful to a certain percentage of the people who come into their hotel rooms. Those folks who like to see their name on a shampoo bottle, that's probably triggering some sense of, I don't know, maybe community, maybe it's something about status.
I mean, I have a lot of hair and my name is Tahira, so those two things don't often get connected, so it's very, it was a good moment for me. But you're right, it's not for everybody.
It isn't.
So.
And I think personalization is ultimately about meeting people's values, and we can do that now. We understand what people are looking for any group of people, for any audience, for any people going to a conference, people going to an event, people who are going on incentive travel experiences, understanding in advance what they really care about most, and then finding ways to personalize based on what those values are. That's the holy grail. And now we can do that with this database. Hotels in particular, I think, are going to need to find ways to make this work for them as we move forward and we go through recovery and we go into whatever this next version of our lives is going to look like, this reset that we have in front of us. Hotels have always been an interesting business. Now, I don't know a whole lot about hotel management, but I for example, one of the things that I've noticed about hotels is that they're very regimented in the way they operate with you. No matter what price point you're talking about, you check in at 4 and you leave the next day at noon. Some exceptions, if you're triple platinum princess diamond level with Marriott, you get to choose when you'd like to check in and when you'd like to check out, and some poor housekeeper gets all upset that they have to live to your rules instead of theirs. But there's this regimented nature to what it means to run a hotel, and it's because it's convenient for the people running the hotel. What if it was convenient for the people based on their values who are coming to the hotel instead? It would mean a change in the way they operate. But I don't think that hotels really have a choice right now. We're looking at, in New York, last I read, 30% occupancy rates.
30% would be high. The average right now we're seeing most places is 18. China's going as high as 40.
Wow. So here's an example. I've been living at home and working at home for the last little while, and sometimes you just like to get out and go and do work somewhere else. I don't belong to WeWork or any of those organizations that allow me to go and have an outside of my home work experience. So I called a couple of the local hotels, higher end hotels, and said, listen, I know it's not what you normally do, and I know there's some industry baggage around a day rate because it was wink, wink, nudge, nudge, not necessarily being used for appropriate things or things that we want to talk about out loud. But right now, wouldn't it be smart to fill up the other 70% of those hotels with people who want to come and get away from the kids and the sewing room where they're working and give them an opportunity to go work in a clean, sterile, private environment with its own bathroom. There's a place you can have a nap. There's a desk. If you want to just watch TV and kick back for the day, you can do that too. And get out of there at 8 o'clock at night and not be penalized for that being the hours that you want to use the space. 70% of the rooms are empty. None of these hotels that I contacted would even consider it. I said, no, it's not something we're willing to do. I was like, really? I'm offering to pay you your rate, your overnight rate for a day. So,
Except that I don't want to use it overnight. I want to use it in those hours you typically wouldn't use it, between 11 and 4.
yeah.
So
They said no.
wow.
So there's
That's depersonalizing the experience entirely.
Personalizing the experience.
Yeah.
The values that I'm looking to have met right there are to personalize that experience for me. This is what I need from you guys right now, and they're saying no to me. So yes, personalization in the hotel world is going to be very important. And I think it's going to be very important in every sector, every segment of the economy that we look at as we try and rebuild and figure out what comes next.
And it's interesting when we look at, obviously higher end properties, you can go to some and there's a pillow menu and a water menu and right, but yet someone that offers a pillow menu is probably saying, no, you can't use my room between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m.
We'll change some of the lipstick here. We'll put, a different pair of earrings on this thing.
Right,
but,
so it's interesting.
That's about as far as we're willing to go.
Okay, so
truly personalizing that is going to be based on understanding what your customers care about, what they value. Everything always comes back to what our values are. And as we talked about in a previous episode, there's only 56. And of those 56, for any given target audience, people who are going to go and stay at Hotel X, those folks are going to have a similar set of values. They're attracted to that thing, to that hotel brand for a reason. We're all attracted to everything in our lives because it is validating our values. So it's not hard to understand what your guests are looking for and then put your personalization experience together based on what you know. Instead of what you think might be kooky, like a bath valet or, a pillow concierge or some of these things that you just scratch your head and go, wow, I guess who dreamt these things up? I'm not sure. And maybe they're wonderful for some folks, but they certainly aren't.
I think it is that personalizing. So we did an event years ago, and it took so many logistics. It was very small. We had 6 people, so it was a familiarization tour, and we were at a resort, and they were out doing some golfing. But it was cool out that day. So what we did is we had, and it took housekeeping and security and all kinds of logistical things, but we ran everybody a bath before they were coming back, a big bubble bath. But we had found out what their favorite drink and their favorite snack was, and we left their favorite drink and their favorite snack beside the bathtub and said, take this pause to refresh, and we'll see you in 90 minutes for dinner. So it was, did everybody want to take a bath? Probably not until they walked in the room and saw their bath filled with bubbles. Right. So
that's pretty cool.
But it's, you can't, again, lots of logistics. You obviously can't do that for every group. But what are some of the personalization values that people could be playing to better as an organization, as to build a community and make people feel loved and welcome?
Well, we do know from the data set all over the world that there's a group of what we call the togetherness values, and it always is present in every single profiling that we do, regardless of the sector or the segment that we're talking about. It can be business to business talking about hedge funds, or it can be work we're doing with the United Nations or with the Environmental Defense Fund. It doesn't matter. Some version of togetherness always shows up. If it doesn't, I think we'd be profiling psychopaths. Right? I mean, this is just so fundamental to who we are. So I think number one, the safest thing that any group could do is to figure out, how can I get togetherness to happen in this environment somehow? How can I help people with making new friends, giving them an opportunity to network, feel like they're part of a community? So I check into a hotel. I'm a nameless, faceless person who's supposed to be here at 4 and leave at noon, and choose your favorite pillow. That's not a personalization experience. How do I feel like I'm part of that community? I remember staying at a hotel when I was in, where was I? I was just outside of Arizona, just outside of Phoenix in Arizona. And this hotel, its thing was everything was within 100 miles. The architect had lived within 100 miles. All the building materials came from within 100 miles. The food, the staff, the music. And in the lobby, they had people who lived within 100 miles who were artists and artisans and craftspeople, and you could sit down and talk. And so you were there, and you're the jewelry maker. And so while I'm having my little snack in the lobby, you and I could sit and talk about the jewelry you're making, like that wonderful pendant you're wearing right now. And we'd have a little conversation about that, and I would feel like I just met somebody new and fun and interesting who was actually part of the space and of the environment, and it was true to form. that's a really good, smart model. I love that experience. I loved being able to.
Yes.
In fact, I was so excited about that. I was staying there for 2 or 3 nights. On my first night, I was just so blown away by this that I said, I need to meet the manager. So she's like, sits down and she's like, hello. I'm like, who are you?
How can I help you?
I just am so enthused about this. I'm just a fan. She's like, are you like reviewing us for something? No, I just want to know how you're doing. This is so great. I think that there's, which leads me to another interesting point. Authenticity is another one of those things that makes my.
Because it's not a value.
This is not a value, and authenticity is not a thing.
No.
Authenticity is an empty vessel. Authentic what? Like, you can't just be authentic. So I've been involved in so many conversations and seen so many different things that are all about how to create authenticity. About what? Authentic is a descriptor for something, right?
Yes.
And I think we all have to remember that too. And it's something that I think many people in the events and conferences industry are guilty of.
An adjective, not a verb.
We get very excited about authenticity as if it's a thing that we can actually manufacture some more of. Let's get some more authenticity in here. This is authentic water in that glass.
Oh, thank God! I only drink authentic water. Let me just take a moment and yes.
Authentic stuff is the best. It tastes the best.
Tastes just like water.
Yeah. I think we have to end there. We're done.
Excellent.